Right, hello. Let's do some quick checks. Check that the audio is fine, and then we'll get right into. So I think I've got the code checked. Managing to those. Yeah, just about how to. Things up with the audio. Why is it so interrupted? Okay. Starting and stopping. Okay, let's get back to it. Tried closing and reopening. Let's see. One. Did it like it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing back, but Gideon. I don't know, let's try like this. This is going to be worse quality, but I'm just curious to see if it stops being interrupted. Yeah, lots of cutting in and out. Why? Okay, now it doesn't cut in and out. The quality is just horrendous. Right, so if it's... So presumably the issue is... One, two, three. One, two. Yeah, it just drops in and out. Like constant. Like if I say a sentence, I a sentence. Oh, noise. Okay, just as an experiment, I've tried removing the noise gate. Let's see if this improves things. And I'm just going to blab a bit to see if this happens. Yeah, it looks like now it's going. All right. Cool. The only 12, 25 minutes in, but we can get started. Okay, let's do this. So first of all, got some nice pull requests to review this time. Got like some work on modern bolus tests by Stelios. There's also some work on the first aggregation. And then if we get through those, there's some work that needs doing on aggregations, on the sharing code between SQL front ends. So next thing would be how to share a new browser. I'm having some issues with Firefox, which is what I would usually use. Yeah, it's just technological issues all over the place today. in which case I might just not be able to share my browser. So the simpler thing might be to just check out Stelios's PR, and then we'll just work on that. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm just gonna stash my changes here, and let's fetch. I thought I had Stelios as a remote. If I don't, I'll just add it. I'll just add them. I'll just add him now. Okay, so the idea behind this pull request, which you can't see, but I'll show you the content of it now, is that there's an online book published called Modin Polars, which translates an old series of blog posts called Modin Pandas. And there's some real nice real-life applications of polars in there. So the idea is, can we check that these actually run and are executable using Narwhals? If so, those would be some pretty nice integration tests. So let's check out to Stelios's PR. Cannot, it exists. Is there an issue with making a branch called tests? Yeah, this is the only one. Why is this happening? Did I try pulling it already? This is so bizarre. Could be a local file and a tracking branch. Okay. Not everything might be viewable, so let's just sort that out. Okay, nice. You should have things viewable. Okay. I don't know why it's not letting me just check out as I would do normally. So I'm just going to make my own branch, like tests modern polars, and then we'll reset hard to Stelios's PR. Remote B, there should be like Skritsotarakis. Nice, here we are. Okay, so what's changed in this pull request compared with main? Let's also fetch and merge with upstream main so we don't get unrelated changes showing up. So they've added this pivot test, which we can now take a look at. And there's also this unpivot test, and they've not changed the code itself. Okay, nice. Looks promising. So modern polars, pivot test. So we skip this one if the polars version is less than version 1. Sure thing. We also skip it for PyArrow table and Modin, given that we don't have the pivot for them. Okay, we just create this test dataset, we pivot it. Okay, nice. Nice and simple, nothing really controversial here. Looks like a good test. And pivot is an eager only thing, so we can only run it on the eager constructors. Nice, looks good. On pivot, this one goes through all the constructors, because on pivot we can do both eagerly and lazily. So we're skipping it for cuDF and for PyArrow table, sure thing. Then, what? If in SQL frame, it raises an assertion error. So we've got dates, we've got these stocks. We then unpivot on date and price, then sort by date and variable. So I'm not sure if we would want to change the assertion based on case sensitivity. So let's just try temporarily putting if false. And then let's have else if does not raise. I'm just curious now about this. Constructors equals SQL frame. What actually happens? So it fails because it expected. Ah, right. Variable all becomes lowercase. This might be something worth reporting. But to be honest, I don't know if it's something we should concern ourselves with for the purposes of this test. I mean, in the end, we're just calling their API. So to make this lowercase, nice little Vim shortcut, you can do tilde, and that'll change the case. So you can select multi-line with Control V, then we go to the right, and then by pressing tilde, we can toggle between uppercase and lowercase. If we make those lowercase, and then make the expected ones lowercase as well, then it should pass for everything. We do get some issues for Dask. Which I wonder if we can resolve by just using date time instead of date. Like in the end, if we're not changing the spirit of the test, I think it's still useful. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's try putting Dask through it. Yeah, this looks like it passes. Okay, so you won't be able to see it, but I'll just leave a quick comment on Stelios's PR. So let's say, yeah, awesome. Thanks, Stelios. Small request. Can we make the input data and the expected data in unpivot test all lowercase? Can we use date time instead of date? Like this, we avoid the errors for some backends whilst staying true to the spirit of the test. Because if Dask can't handle date and SQL frame isn't always case sensitive, that's kind of something that's beyond our control, so I'm not sure we should concern ourselves with it too much. Cool. So I've done that. Something else to look at then is the last PR, which I saw earlier. I'm somewhat skeptical of it, but let's take a look. So there were some things I was possibly misunderstanding, which were that it was using apply for all cases. Let's just take a look. What's it called? Extra first. So I'm just going to try running a little example. So let's import pandas. 2, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to say from native df dot group by a, and then dot ag pl dot call b dot first. Except it's not going to be pl dot call, it's going to be nw dot call. Now, if we run this, then what happens? So we do get the right result. What's actually happening though? This would be in group by pandas like. So ordered aggregation. Sure. Native ordered aggregation. Nth. Oh, sure. Okay. What is this method caller? Okay, yeah. Let's see. So it's probably going inside here. I guess we got this operator method caller. Yeah, okay, and native ag is giving us that. Oh, right, so starting with the group by on it, we call, okay, yeah, this seems clever, nice. Why do we need this has PyArrow string check? Curious about that. So let's say, let's make a column C. Sorry, this is a string PyArrow. Yeah, it looks right. Is it the... It might be the string D type that's breaking then, rather than this one. So let's just see how to enable that. So what if we do this? Hmm. Which version of pandas do we have? Yeah, should be a recent enough one. So it's not... Oh, right, so yeah, so let's try commenting this one out. Looks like it's still fine, so I'm just curious about... Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need a lot more focus to be able to make sense of this. So I'll defer it to a later date. I'm also not totally sure about whether we should be using this method at all. Not saying we shouldn't, I just like to be a bit more careful about it. And to be careful about whether the min by function would do instead. So anything else? We've got a bunch of draft pull requests. Okay, in which case I'll continue taking a look at the factoring out part. Yeah, except I can't remember what branch I was on. Let's see if I can find it just by... I think I got too many factoring. Got too many factor out branches. Maybe something like more sharing. It's probably this one. 25th of June, yeah, this was the branch. Okay, so I was taking a look at making a coalesce method in all of the namespaces, so then we can reuse some methods within the namespaces. So let's do that. So namespace.py underscore duckdb. And here I'm going to make sure that we've got a def coalesce self and then extras, which are going to be of type expression. This is going to return another expression. And we're going to do this by using a coalesce operator, and then we unpack the expressions. Then I've commented out coalesce because I want to have that one in namespace SQL. So here, to this protocol, we should just implement coalesce self star extras, and these need to be of type native expression, and we're going to return a native expression. We're going to leave it unimplemented as each backend is expected to implement it. And then we can use that here. Yeah, this should give us a functioning coalesce. Let's just run the test and check. Nice, this passes. Let's see if we can do the same for PySpark then. So Spark like namespace class. Let's make sure to give it a coalesce, which we can probably just get quite easily. So def coalesce self expressor. These are going to be of type column, which is, well, the PySpark column. And we're going to use fx. Then let's remove the top level coalesce and check if this still passes. No, it fails. What are we missing? So here we used underscore coalesce, which this might not be inheriting. Yeah, this needs to inherit. From a SQL namespace. Okay, we want something like this. So from narwhals.sql.namespace, import SQL namespace. Then we're going to use that as the base class in here. So we need to use the compliant lazy frame, then the native column, and then what? Then the native data frame, which is, which I think we have somewhere in here. SQL frame, data frame. Yeah, we can just import it from the. Here it is. We can just use that. SQL frame, data frame. Yeah, we've already got it. We can just use that. Easy. We're on this. So now that it inherits from SQL namespace, the tester still doesn't pass because column probably needs to be quoted because it's not available there at runtime. It's for type checking only. Nice. Now it indeed passes. Cool. Let's add another work in progress commit, the best kind of commit. And before going over to IBIS, I'm just curious to see how easy or difficult it would be to share more things in here, because there's quite a bit of repetition. Concat string, for example, this one looks, this is nearly 50 lines of code. This feels like it's probably shareable. Yeah, concat is probably shareable. Mean horizontal, this is probably a good one. All of these horizontal ones, any, all. Here we've got a good 62 lines of code. Let's just try with all horizontal. Curious about this one. Let's see if we've got everything we need. So in here, let's try pasting all horizontal. So the expressions, these are going to be of the SQL expressy kind. And we're going to get the same SQL expressy back. For the input, instead of column, we're going to use the native expressy, both as the input and the output. Then we need self.coalesce. Easy, we've got that. And then lit. We probably need a underscore lit as well. Yeah, let's make underscore lit value any. So just before coalesce, let's also add lit. So this is just going to take a single value of, and we ignore the type. We're just going to use lit value. Or do we really not have any in this file? Cool, doing pretty well. We're going to have to make it here as well. Lit value any. And we're going to use lit. Nice. Cool. So let's go back to the SQL one, and specifically to all horizontal. So the inner function is fine. Something is not quite right in the typing. Let's check if it's just the typing thing, or if there's an actual issue that we need to resolve. So this is going to pass, but I think that's because we're still, yeah, we need to actually comment this one out to check whether the shared, oh, it passes. Really? This is bizarre. It's bizarrely satisfying, sorry. Wait, really? This can just pass? So why is it red? Why is the typing complaining? Okay, so SQL expr, lazy frame, native expr is not assignable to return type. SQL expr t. Is it not? Really? So from element-wise horizontal up, self.expr, what's the type here? So type, yeah, okay, yeah, we're using the same type vars in there. Sure thing. So which part is, oh wait, we're using SQL expr t here. We shouldn't be using that. Yeah, we should be using SQL expr, and then we've got SQL lazy frame t and native expr t, and then we can do the same for the return type. And now the squiggly lines go away. Nice, killing it. This is awesome. Ah, nice. This is so rewarding. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, let's see how much we can share here. Let's just add a work in progress commit. Work in progress all horizontal. Going to use -n to skip the pre-commit checks. Let's do the same for any horizontal. This one should be fairly painless. It's going to be the same, except that the default is going to be false. And we're going to use or. Okay, we've got this. Nice. Then any horizontal in ductdb, we can delete this. Yeah, let's delete this and the all horizontal. And let's do the same in Spark like. Sorry, in Spark like namespace. Yeah, here it is, all horizontal, and any horizontal, we can just delete these. Wonderful. Then we've got max and min. These might be a little trickier, not sure. Let's take a look. These look like they should be fun. Any horizontal. Let's also make a little section here for horizontal functions. Max horizontal, so extras, this is going to be this one. Also, quick check. Is the SQL expertise used anywhere? No. So let's just remove it to avoid making the same mistake twice. And the return type is going to be this one again. Then here we've got the native one. And instead of, yeah, this is going to have to be a little different. I think we again are going to need to use self.functions greatest and then calls. This is not defined yet, so we're going to have to define it. So function, and I'm going to copy and paste it from extra def function. Sure, this is a little bit of repetition, but I think it's justified. Let's go over then to namespace in Spark-like. Let's go to extra.py def function, and let's copy that over. Yeah, there's this Python literal which isn't known. I think this is probably importable from narwhals.typing import, not typing compat, typing import Python literal. Yeah, easy. So we've got function there. Let's do the same in duckdb namespace def lit. Let's copy it over from extra.py function. Here we go. Okay. And now max horizontal and min horizontal. We should be able to just delete these. Let's see if we can do the same for Spark. Max, min. Okay. Let's take a look at how far we can get. So I'm going to expand the tests and run all the tests that end with _horizontal_test. Okay, min horizontal is showing 2 failures, but interestingly enough, max horizontal passes. Wow. Interesting. Do we have both of them here? Oh, have we only placed max horizontal and not min? And then instead of greatest, we're going to use least. Nice, but why did this pass for Spark-like? Did we not delete these? No. So let's not get too excited until we've actually deleted them. Ah, this is good. Share more horizontal code. Ah, this is great. Can't wait to see what the diff looks like. Let's check that we've actually got namespace and version. Oh, we didn't. Yeah, we don't need all of these. We'll add them strada facendo as we add more things. Commented out code selectors. Yeah, we can probably share the selectors completely. Nice, we've got this. What about some horizontal? Surely that's not much of a stretch. So let's go in here, def some horizontal, mean horizontal, and I think this is all of the horizontal functions. SQL extra, no, sorry, SQL namespace. Let's keep them alphabetically sorted. So let's put mean horizontal before max horizontal and mean horizontal. So we're now going to replace Spark like Expra with SQL Expra, SQL lazy frame T, native Expra T. Yeah, let's just do n dot. Nice, another little bin trick. N is to go to the next place where you search for something. Dot is to reapply the latest thing, which you did. So we got that. Instead of self.f, we're going to use underscore function. In fact, this one can just be underscore lit, easy, and this one can just be coalesce, even easier. Yeah, got that. Okay, so some horizontal looking good. Mean horizontal. This is ugly. This is really ugly. Is it this bad for DuckDB as well? DuckDB namespace, def mean horiz. Yeah, it's exactly as bad. And big int. Okay, and that's int 64. Yeah, seems reasonable. I guess this could just be int 8 if we want to cast is a boolean to the smallest possible integer. But that, yeah, there would be a risk of overflows there. Int 64 is probably fine. Is there a risk here of overflows? Surely you can't have so many columns. No, I mean, I actually seem to remember that there's a limit of 256 columns that you can add together in an expression in DuckDB anyway. So maybe int 64 is overkill, but it should definitely be enough to avoid issues. Okay, looks good anyway. The issue is going to be how to cast things. Maybe we shouldn't be sharing mean horizontal. And I think this is simple enough that it's probably fine to keep backend specific. So I'm going to use a nice little trick called git add -p. So this allows you to just selectively include or not include patches. So here I can't split this hunk because I want to keep mean horizontal. I want to keep the removal of some horizontal, but I don't want to remove mean horizontal. So let's do edit. And what I'm going to do then, whoops. Is for these lines here, let's just remove the dot. So these don't get deleted. We're only going to delete some horizontal from Spark like Expra. Then what do we have? Mean horizontal in SQL namespace. Let's not add this one, at least for now. Thinking about how to share this cast is going to be another fun topic, but I don't think it's necessary for now. I don't think there's that many places where we need to do casts in these operations, and we can already greatly reduce the lines of code by doing the sharing we're doing at the moment. So let's run the horizontal tests again. Yeah, it looks like it all passes. Nice. Share all horizontal functions except mean horizontal, as it requires casting. And because I skipped some files earlier, I did some commit with -n, which skips all of the pre-commit checks. I'm going to manually run pre-commit over all the files just to double check that it's actually linting them all. Looks like it's fine. Let's also run the typing checks. Cool, pywrite passes. Can we do some sharing for IBIS as well then? Let's take a look. So for example, coalesce, we should be able to do. Any horizontal, this looks exactly like the others. We should be able to share all of this. Let's start by, I'm fairly confident enough that I'm just going to start deleting a lot of these. Again, we can't delete mean horizontal because of casting. Okay, we've got some typing to resolve, but we'll resolve it. Confident enough in this. Then let's make sure to add what's missing. So we need to add these methods here. So function, lit, and coalesce. IBIS namespace. So let's go here to the top before we actually implement any method. So instead of expression, these are all going to be IR value. And ibis.coalesce. Lit, yeah, we've got lit f. I don't remember how function is defined for IBIS, so let's take a look. We might want to factor this out somewhere, but for now it's okay. First, just get it green, get it right, and then refactor further. Then Python literal. Yeah, nice, looking good. Let's check that the tests pass. Generally happy to give priority to tests passing of typing, although sometimes just getting the typing right first is enough to ensure that your tests are going to pass. It looks like we're missing something. So function lit coalesce, this is all we had to add here. Right, right. Oh, it's not inheriting. It's not got the right inheritance. So we need to do from narwhals.sql.namespace import SQL namespace. And then here, no, not here, not in this file, in ibis.namespace, gonna say from narwhals SQL.namespace import SQL namespace. And then here, we're gonna say SQL namespace, and we need to pass it. So the lazy frame native expression and native table. Okay, got that. Let's see if now it runs. Ah, no, not quite. Close though, it's close. It's close. Least. I should take a break, but I'm just so engaged into this, I can't stop. So how did we do least here? Where is min horizontal? ibis.least. Yeah, we should be able to do this. So def function. Then if name equals least, return ibis.least args, and same for greatest. Let's see if this goes. Nice. Oh, this is wonderful. Lol, too many return statements, and I don't care. Okay, let's take a little break, and then we can sort out the typing issues. Okay, then let's get back to it. I kind of feeling like we're making some good progress here, so let's check that we can actually get this finished. Would be pretty happy if we could. Oh wait, really? Typing is passing? Wow, nice. Pretty neat. Occasionally I've heard some contributors complain that the typing is a bit complicated. And yeah, it is true, but also it does make the code base a lot more understandable, so I think it's a net positive. So where are we? Yeah, we need to be able to remove these ones from IBIS. Yeah, all horizontal we should also be able to remove. It's just the mean horizontal, which we can't. Nice, okay. Okay, let's see if we can push this then. Oh, right. So we do actually have some typing issues. We're not getting off quite as easily as I thought we might. Right, let's see if we can figure out how to resolve these overrides. So when... What? Why is... this looks like it's going to be annoying. Right, let's take it from the top. I was just saying that typing is nice, but also some of these things are very frustrating. Missing return statement. Yeah, so this one should actually be a protocol then. I think we need to inherit from protocol. And we need to list then what it's generic over. Okay, first step. That's missing a comma. We can't define this init method inside here. So let's remove that, but that's fairly painless. We should be able to just define it in the others. What's the issue now? Covariant. Native frame T should be covariant. Okay. Should it really? It's not used anywhere. Wait a sec. Yeah, we don't. This is odd. We don't need this. Do we not need this at all? Do we have native frame? Yeah, there is native frame T co. Okay, let's use that. But I don't know, wait, but we don't need this. Just well, the lazy namespace needs it, so I think that means we need it here as well. So we should be able to just make this covariant. And I've got a feeling that MyPy and PyWrite are going to disagree over this, but we can resolve that. So in here we need, oh, we've got the init, nice, got the init, and got the init here as well, so that init was completely useless. Glad to get rid of it. I love getting rid of useless things. Nothing better. Let's keep going. So we've still got some errors. I can't remember if it's more or less than before, but let's work through them. This should be doable. Spark like Expra. So return type Spark like namespace incompatible with compliant namespace. Why? Yeah, they're all complaining about the namespace. Which suggests that we're missing something. What are we missing? Okay, is this going to be one of those things where it's not taken us too long to do the code, but we're going to spend ages fixing up the types? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, okay, let's go substitution, incompatible override. And yeah, we can't just turn off all of them. So here we've got compliant namespace, Spark like lazy frame, Spark like Expra. Whereas Spark like namespace here we've got a few things. Let's try to understand why. Do we really need all of these? Can't we just have Spark like lazy frame? And then Spark like Expra. Let's understand this. So here we've got SQL Expra and also this native frame T, which is only here because it's an argument to lazy namespace. And it's only there because of this from native. And why is this there? So this one, it takes, well, let's, I'm sure we can figure this out. So here, oh right, because we need the native expr later, which actually makes me wonder, instead of SQL expr lazy frame t, native expr t, what if we had SQL expr t? And then just had native expr t here in this protocol. Would that be an issue? Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's not recognizing SQL expr Spark like lazy frame column as being compatible with Spark like expr. So this might be an issue. Let's try that. Let's do a find and replace. So SQL expr SQL lazy frame t native expr t. When we see that, let's remove it. Let's replace it with SQL expr t. Then we're also we're going to need SQL expr t here, native frame t, and also native expr t here. Why is it still yellow? Native frame t. Yeah, this one should be native expr t. Nice. Got it to stop complaining. It's pretty good. But this does mean we're now going to have to update the calls, these definitions. So here, this is going to have to be duckdb expr, duckdb by relation, and then expression, which we do have imported. That's good, we can use it. Maybe duckdb by relation is the only one that needs to be in quotes. It's not defined. So what do we need in here? Yeah, we do need the native frame t co. Okay, we've got that here. Nice. Let's go over to ibis. So here we're going to use ibis expr ir.table. And then let's do the same for Spark. So here we're going to use Spark like expr and then column. Right, let's see what this does to the typing. Oh wow, this passes. This fixed it. Okay, nice. PyWrite's passing. My write was passing before. Nice. Cool. Took a few pre-commit runs to get this passing, but I think we can finally take a look at opening a pull request. Right, I think I'm going to have to cut it short today. Normally we get to about 2 hours, but today that's not really feasible due to some other constraints. So yeah, thanks Cam for joining, and anyone else who tuned in. I hope this was somewhat educational. And yeah, have a good one. Speak in the future.